Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, you are going to see the pen testing of Samba. For this demonstration, I am using the Metasploitable 2, which seems to be pretty convenient for me. The first thing that I'm gonna demonstrate you is about Nmap. Like, let's perform the basic Nmap scan by specifying the port 139, 445. These are the ports where Samba or SMP, you can also call this NetBIOS, is running on. So we are targeting these two ports like port 139, 445. This is the default ports that Samba or SMB runs on, which you can see NetBIOS and Microsoft DS services is running as of now. So in this video, we are going to take a look of about Nmap. NSC stands for the Nmap scripting engine, and Hydra, which seems to be a great tool, and SMB client tool, and SMB map tool, and enum for Linux tool, and MSF console tool for this demonstration. So before that, you can also practice it using the Metasploitable 2 mission. You can just start up your mission, Metasploitable 2 mission, and then do what I'm doing to understand the concepts to learn more about it. Okay, I recommend you to start up your own VM of Metasploitable 2 so that we can do this together. Yeah, let's begin. So the first step that I done here is just performing a just basic nmap scan with by specifying the 139 and 445 ports only. So we are going to perform some additional scans like -S_C, which performs the script scanning. Yeah, it will give you some thing more information than what you get from normal scanning. So -S_C is basically used for performing a script scan. As you can see, when you press somewhere, you can see the progress of how much percentage does it done, does the scans done, like that. You can see the progress here. You can also give -S_V for service version scanning. As you can see in the basic nmap scan, you will be able to get the port, state, and service, and these are the three contents that is available in the basic nmap scan. But when you put -SC, you will get something more, so we can discuss that. But before that, let me use -SV instead of -SC. So in the let me review, let it run, and in the meantime we can review the -SC command. What are the things that we get? Like, we get the port, we get the state, we get the service, and moreover we also get the scripting results. Like, this is the host script results, which says that nbstat netbios name. We get the netbios user, mac, etc. Other informations that is available. Currently it's unknown. And we can get the smb security mode, and the account use is guest, and the authentication level is as user, and the challenge response is supported, and like that you will get some information related to the operating system. And as you can see, OS seems to be Unix. Samba is running on this particular version, and we just get the computer name, which seems to be Metasploitable here, and the netbios name, and the domain name here, local domain, and the fqdn fully qualified domain name here as metasploitable.local domain. So these are the informations that we get. So by specifying the -SV in the previous scan, we only get port, state, and service, but by specifying the SV will give you the version information. As you can see, it's running on Samba, and it's SMBD 3.x, something ranges from 4.x. It's between 3.x and 4.x is something the version of this Samba running on this particular Metasploitable 2 mission. So this is about nmap. Let me use some nmap scripting engines by specifying ls-l for listing all the files from the user share nmap scripts directory, where I'm just grabbing for the SMB only. So it will give you all the SMB nmap scripting engines available. So make sure to remember these commands. Basically, the scripts in nmap will be stored in this directory, like user share nmap scripts directory, where you can just grab the content that you want from that particular directory. And this is the content that is available in terms of SMB. And you can see plenty of modules available, plenty of scripting engines available for nmap that you can specify. You can see this is the SMB brute module. If you want to know more about a module, then you can just open the browser and just paste it here and just click search, and you'll be able to get from the nmap website, and you can just read this, and you can just use this. If you don't know the command to use, then you will also get it from here. It's targeting on 445 port, and this is the command that you can use to perform this let me use that. In the end we can just specify the target IP. So yeah, let's perform this. Like nmap stands for the network mapper tool, and minus minus script for specifying the script that we want to use. Here we use the smb brute.nsa script, and we are targeting only port 445, and this is our target IP. So we can just see the progress, because this is basically performs the brute forcing attack. So it will take some time, and based on the password strength, I think so it will definitely going to take some time. It's not like normal scanning. So yeah, in the meantime, let's look at some other things. Like we can see smb enum domains. So why we use this module? So like as I said before, you can just search the entire nsc online, and you'll be able to get it directly from the nmap, and you'll be able to see a script summary, and you'll be able to see some example usages, and you'll be able to see some examples outputs, the script outputs here, right? So let's try to use this also. And here you can see the syntax, and at the end we have to specify the host. It may be the domain name or the ip address. Here it's either ip address. Let this run, and I'm just opening a new terminal tab, and let me paste this, and let me put my ip there, and here it is. So the results was too faster than I expected, and this is what I get. This is the results that I get. I don't specifically get some domains related to smp here. And we do have some other scripts which will be available here. You can just use the scripts based on your requirements. You can see there is a security mode .nsc. Let's try to use that instead of this. You can just search online for this script to know more about it, how we use it, why we use it, something like that. Here I'm just specifying 445 and 139 also here to see if I get something specifically for that. So unfortunately I could not get anything for that. And I do have some other groups module, process module, services, sessions, shares. So let's try to use the shares. So let me try to use the same command with a 445 and the 139. My Kali Linux seems to be pretty stuck with, because there's a brute force attack running here. So that's maybe the reason why this seems to be stuck. So let me stop this. You can just perform it by yourself, and you'll be able to complete it, I think. So in the meantime, here I'm just stopping that because system getting slower by executing that command. So anyways, I'm not going to do all those things. Let me use this with another scripting engine. So let us try to use some scripting engines for the security mode is what we used before, right? So we are going to use the shares. So let me copy the shares again. As you can see, this is the nmap nsc that we are going to use. So let me try to use that. And as you can see, we will get we definitely got plenty of results. As you can see, this is the results that we get, like smb enum users, and we get the shares. Here is admin, and another share is ipc, and a share called rpg, and another share called print, and temporary share, tmp share, etc. This is the information that we get by executing this nsc. Like that, you can just execute some of the modules to get some information related to nmap scripting engine. Next, we are going to use the hydra. So in the hydra, we just know the password. Like hydra is basically used to perform these kinds of brute force attacks. So minus l for capital L for specifying a word list which contains the username. So here what I'm going to do is copying the user share word list fasttrack.txt to my home Kali. So I'm just copying that fasttrack.txt to my home Kali. So I'm just adding a new word called msfadmin to the fasttrack.txt using this command. So it will get added. So now I'm just using hydra and minus capital L. So basically, I think you know about a word list using hydra. If the word list contains the password, then only we'll be able to get it, right? So yeah, that's why I specified the msf admin, which seems to be the username and password of msf metasploitable 2 here, right? So anyways, let us use the fasttrack.txt as minus L, capital L, for specify the username. So if we have a single username, then you can use minus small l. We have a word list of usernames, so we just specify minus capital L, and I do have a list of passwords, so I specified minus capital P, And here I'm just targeting the SMP, like I'm just entering the target IP, which seems to be this. And I also need to change, I'm specifying minus capital V for the verbose, so it will give you these kinds of thing, which seems to be pretty good for some people, but some people just in like, which will make the terminal full of contents. So some people like these kinds of things, like it is so damn great. So yeah, so I'm not gonna do as of now. I'm just specifying a single username here called msfadmin for make this task so faster. Like, let me specify msfadmin as username and performing this. So I, as I mentioned before, minus small l means it will specify a single username. Here we have msfadmin, and minus capital P means it contains a word list of passwords. If you specify minus small p, then you do have a single password. Okay, so like that you have to use accordingly. So here I just specified minus small l for specifying a single username. Previously I just specified minus small capital L for word list of usernames. If I don't know the username, then I can, if I know the password and don't know the username, then I can use minus small l minus capital L and list of word list which contains the username, and small p and specify that particular password, so that I'll be able to get username from by using accordingly. So like that you can just use it accordingly to get information that you want. Okay, here we use minus small l because we know the username, and if you don't know the password, you can just specify minus capital P, which contains a list of passwords. So we were able to get the password. As you can see, SMB was successfully cracked, and we were able to get the password and username as msfadmin. So this is how you use Hydra tool for this purpose. So now we are moving to enum for Linux. That's what I think seems to be pretty good. So let me use the enum for Linux here, and let me close that here. So anyways, let's try to use the enum for Linux tool, like enum for Linux, which seems to be a pretty good tool. You can just enter man enum for Linux. As you can see, there is no kind of manual entry available, so I'm just specifying minus h. As you can see, there's a list of help menus that we get, like minus u. If you specify minus capital U, it will get the user list, get the mission list, etc. But by specifying the minus small a, it will give you user, share, and all those lists. So this seems to be pretty convenient for me. So I'm just specifying minus a small a and entering my target IP, which seems to be 109. And it will give me all those informations without specifying minus capital U or minus small s. Minus small a means everything you will get. As you can see, this is the shares that we were able to enumerate by specifying the enum for Linux minus a is. But I like to use enum for Linux as minus a, which seems to be pretty good, rather than using minus capital U only, or minus something like that. I don't have to remember all those things. I can enter minus a for getting all, right? Which seems to be pretty convenient for me. So that's why I used minus a in enum for Linux. I was able to get all the shares and some other informations which seems to be useful for maybe in your case it will be useful, but for this demonstration it's not useful. So this is the information that I will able to enumerate using enum for Linux tool. Okay, let's move on to the next tool here called SMB client. So why we use SMB client tool, which seems to be a pretty good tool. So as you can see, let's first try to use SMB client tool. So you can just I think there may be some kind of manual. As you can see, it's basically an FTP like client to access SMB CIF sources on servers. You do get plenty of description, plenty of options to specify in SMB client. If you don't like it, then you can just specify minus h for getting a small help menu, which seems to be this. You have to read this to understand the concept. Minus capital M for message, host, minus I, IP address, etc. You will get some information regarding this, right? So instead, I'm not going to use any of that as of now. I'm not going to use everything as of now. So let me try to use the minus capital L for listing the shares, / means the IP to list the shares from. So I'm just specifying the IP. it's done. So if you don't know the password, then you can just press enter. It will give us the shares, like these are the shares available. We have print, temp, opt, ipc, admin, etc. the shares available. So we just know the password, right? We were able to get it from there, as msf admin is the password. So I just entered msf admin. As you can see, this is the informations that we that I get. It seems to be pretty like the same information that we get without entering the password and by entering the password. So anyways, we can also specify minus capital U for specifying the username, and the percentage, you can also specify percentage for specifying the password, which seems to be pretty good. If you have a username and password, then you can use SMB client like this. So here we were able to get one more shares called msf admin, which seems to be pretty good, right? So we were able to log in using by specifying username and password. Percentage is like username, percentage, password is how you give the contents. So yeah, this is how you use SMB client, but this is not the end. You can use SMB client for more purposes. In the meantime, let me show you SMB map, and then I will show you SMB client so that you'll be able to understand more. So here I'm just using SMB map, and in SMB map you can just specify minus capital H and the IP. So SMB map minus capital H and the IP will give you some cool informations. As you can see in the previous nmap in the previous SMB client scan, you were able to get some shares, right? So do you know that can you access this particular share? You don't know about it, right? But in SMB map tool will give you the permissions in colors, which seems to be pretty good. As you can see, it will saying that I do have read write permission to this particular share called temp, and I don't have access to all those shares. Like these are the shares that I don't have access to. The only share that I have access to is temp, TMB share. So you can easily find it using the SMB map tool, which is pretty good, right? So you don't have to try to access to all those shares. Instead, you can just use this SMB map tool and it will give you the information that you can access or not. As you can see, this is the help menu. You can also specify minus U for username, minus P for password in SMB map. So let's try to use that here as msf admin, minus small p for password as msf admin, and let's try to log in using the username and password. And as you can see, when you log in using the username and password, you will get the msf admin, and you do have read and write access to that particular share also. So which seems to be a pretty good tool, right? SMB map is something that you need to keep in mind. So let's move back to the SMB client. Let's try to access some of the shares. So in the previous like SMB client, as you can see, this is how you anonymously access the shares, like without a username and password. So you can also specify as we get from before, like we know that only the temp directory is the directory, temp share is the share that you have access to, right? So let's try to access it using SMB client, and you don't have to specify minus L. Instead, you can just specify //IP/ the share. So I'm just specifying /temp, and I don't know the password. Just put enter, and as you can see, we were able to access the SMB, and this is the informations available in that particular share, right? Which seems to be pretty good, right? So as we know, we do have some other shares here called OPT, and in the SMB map says that as you can see, guys, with the username and password, you do have read-only access to the OPT. But without the username and password here, we just don't specify any username password. In this here, you don't have any access. But if you specify the username and password, then you do have a read-only permission to print share and the OPT share, which seems to be pretty good. You have to note that. So let's try to access it without specifying any username and password. As you can see, it's saying it's file. So let's try to access it by specifying only password, which seems to be msf admin, and its file. So let's try to access the OPT share by specifying the username and password is here as msf admin, percentage msf admin. I think I was able to get access. As you can see, as expected, we were able to gain access to the OPT share by specifying the username and password. So this is how you get informations from. So which is a pretty good tool, right? SMB map shares that if you specify username and password, you do have read-only permission to the print, and you do have read-only permission to OPT, and you do have read-write permission to temp, and you do have read-write permission permission to MSF admin. If you don't specify any kind of username and passwords, then you don't have access to the MSF admin share. As you can see, this is the shares available, and no MSF admin shares available by not specifying any username and passwords. Let's try to access using SMB client is the tool that we most probably use to access shares. Here I'm just accessing MSF admin share. You use SMB client tool / the target IP and / the share that you want to access minus capital U for specifying the username or username and password minus capital U, and you can specify the username. If you want to specify the password, you can just put the percentage symbol. After that, you can just specify the password. So this is how you use that, and we were able to gain access to the SMB MSF admin share here, and we will get able to get some more informations, like we have SSH key. As you can see, which seems to be directory. Like I can just go for ID RSA here. We can just gain access to the SSH by getting this ID RSA, which seems to be you will be able to get get to know more about SSH in the SSH pen testing video. You can watch that video and understand how you can gain access to by using the ID RSA, so which I explained in the SSH video. So yeah, that's about this tool here called SMB client. So we just covered 6 of these, like Nmap, NSC, Nmap scripting engine, Hydra, enum for Linux, SMB client, SMB map. Now we are moving to the end here called MSF console, which seems to be pretty good, the baby universe of hacking. So I'm just I'm just trying to open MSF console. You do have a MSF console, like the Metasploit framework console course, where you will be able to get to know more about MSF console. As you can see, I can change the banner, right? You will be able to get to know more about MSF console in that particular video that I put that. So anyways, let's search for SMB here. When I use to search for SMB, I was able to get about 450 of results, which includes payload modules, post modules, auxiliary modules, exploit modules. I don't want these kinds of modules as of now. What I'm gonna doing here is to use some auxiliary modules. Like I can search for SMB. So instead I can search for the type here called auxiliary, and I can just search for the name here called SMB, and it will give me only 50. As of now, I do have 50 of them. So I sorted from 450 to only 50 auxiliary modules that is available as of now, right? So you can just use this module, like this is about SMB underscore version, which will give you the version of SMB. So I'm just copying that. I'm just using the use command and the module that I want to use. Now I'm just entering the options command, and I do get some options. The only thing that I need to set here is rhost. So I'm just setting this as global variable, which means whenever I load any other modules here in this MSF console, I don't have to set the rhost again and again. So that's why I'm just setting as global variable set G. If you specify only set, it will set this rhost only for this particular module. But set G means then whenever you use some other modules, like something like this module or this module, the modules that you're using again and again for this session, you will not be able to enter the set the rhost again and again. So that's why I'm just setting this as global variable, and I'm just entering set G rhost and the target IP here. I don't have to enter it again and again, so that's why I'm just specifying this as global variable. Now I'm just hitting the run button, and once I enter the run command, and I was able to get some information. As you can see, this is the Samba version that is currently there running. Okay, so now what we can do here is just search this version, search this version for any vulnerabilities, and I could not get anything here. So let me search it without the Debian, and here I was able to get one which seems to be an exploit module, as you can see. So let's try to use that by specifying the use 0 here. And as I mentioned before, once you enter options command, the rhost is already set because I just specified the global variable in the previous module. I just set this as global variable. So whenever you load any other modules, it is automatically set this rhost. You don't have to set the rhost for every module that you load inside the MSF console. So that's why specifying as global variable seems to be pretty good and pretty useful for most of the peoples. Okay, and I just don't need to set anything here, so I'm just hitting the run command. As you can see, it started the reverse TCP handler on this particular IP here, and this seems to be our L host. And as you can see, command shell session 1 open, I just get a shell access to this metasploitable 2 machine, which seems to be when I enter ls. As you can see, this is the contents. I just get a shell access, right? So I can enter commands like slash bin bash minus I. As you can see, I get access as root. Hash means I just get access as root user. Who am I? When I enter who am I, as you can see, as root user, I just get access as, right? Which seems to be pretty good, right? You can use MSF console for various purposes. So this is a way that we can use MSF console. You can sort to get the auxiliary module, search for the version, and there are other auxiliary modules that you can use for SMB. Like we just find the version using the version module. We just exploited the version, exploited the vulnerability in that particular version, gain access to this SMB, right? So this is about the pentesting SMB. So you can also search for some other modules like smb underscore login, which you can pretty good use this module. Like let me try to use that, and you can just use this module for performing the brute force attack. As you can see, brute force speed and some other informations. It will check for anonymous login and more, like it will give you more. So let's try to I will demonstrate that also here. So I'm just specifying the smb username here, I'm just specifying smb username as msfadmin. So now what I'm going to do is I don't have the password, right? So assume that I don't have the password. So I'm just setting the pass file here. As you can see, pass file is basically the file contains the password. So here I'm just setting the pass file, like pass underscore file, as the fasttrack.txt, and I'm just executing the run command, and it will perform the brute force attack. As you can see, this is the file. As you can see, the verbose is set to true. That means that it will show what is happening in the background. So if you turn the verbose off, it will not show what is happening in the background. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so you can also set the speed of brute force. It's from 0 to 5. It's the highest speed as of now. And you can also see create session, create a new section for every successful login. Just you can use it accordingly based on what you want. So as you can see, this is performing this brute forcing attack. As you can see, there's a lot of file attempts. If you don't want to see all those things, then you can just set this verbose as false. Then it will not give you all those informations like this. So some people would like to see everything what is happening in the background and all those things in their terminal window, so that in those for those kinds of peoples it will be helpful. So some people doesn't want to make their terminal window full of content. So for those peoples, you can just turn this verbose off. It seems to be pretty good, right? So like this, you can use various modules for msf console, right? So here I was able to see that msfadmin, and msfadmin is saying that it's filed, and it's saying that 0 credentials were successful, maybe because of some kind of issues. So that's why it is recommended to use multiple tools. Like this tool was filed to detect this as a password. So smb, you cannot log in using smb using this, is what this module saying that. So that's why it is important to learn multiple tools. As you can see, we were able to get the username and password using the hydra tool, right? So but we were not able to get it using the msf consoles this module, right? So that's something it is recommended to learn all those tools. So I highly recommend you to learn all those tools by yourself, practice this by yourself, so that once you file to gain access, or once you file to get the credentials in one tool, then you can just use some other tools for getting the results. So okay, so that's all about this video, guys. I hope you learned something new from this video, and I will see you in the next one.